If you're into gaming today, chances are you're into first-person shooters. One of the most dominant genres in gaming ever, it seems like it's only a matter of time before Mario busts out a gat. Let's, hope that never happens. There's so many great ones out there, it's time to find the best of the best. So let's get into it. Hey, I'm Stuttering Craig for ScrewAttack's Top 10 FPS Games of All Time.
Number 10.
Two things scare the piss out of me. Large bodies of water and the 1940s. When you combine those two things with freakishly demonic little girls, giant underwater sea robots, and guns, you've got yourself a recipe for pee-pee in your pants. Now, if you're manly enough to fight through the eerie setting, you've got yourself a game with some incredibly unique weapons and an interesting storyline. Some say BioShock was the best game of 2007. Some say 2007 was the best year in gaming history. You put those two together, you got yourself a hit. The only drawback? No multiplayer.
Number 9.
Most FPS are best when they go by one rule. If it moves, shoot it. Doom 3 capitalized on that rule to the fullest, because if you could actually see it, you really did need to shoot it. Hell, the game was so dark you couldn't see shit. You may not be able to hold a flashlight and a shotgun at the same time, but this was still a phenomenal FPS and a definite upgrade in the series.
Number 8.
Gordon Freeman is a badass. His glasses are badass. His goatee is badass. And yes, his games are badass. The first Half-Life was a very popular title and received good reviews, but it lacked one thing: the gravity gun. Half-Life 2 has it, and that's why it's on the list. It made anything you could pick up into a projectile of death. Oh my, that's hilarious. Got him! Sucker! The gravity gun is amazing.
Number 7.
We move from a badass to the coolest character in video games. Duke Nukem gave games an edge. Yeah, GTA 4 is great, but those pixelated boobies meant so much more to me at the time. Well chronicled in our top 10 list, Duke Nukem needs to be here just for the standard of incredible he set in the 90s. Now, if we could only get Forever out sometime in the 2000s. Our only fear is that the game's been waited on for so long that no matter how jaw-dropping the game is, people are going to be so jaded by the amount of time they had to wait for it that it's going to be a joke of itself.
Number 6.
Sure, it looks like shit, but Counter-Strike is straight up fun. So fun it's still being played competitively. A huge plus many players liked is the ability to mod the game. Cheating? Yes. Hilarious? Abso-freaking-lutely. In addition to educating people that you can actually run faster with a knife in your hand, Counter-Strike also played a big role in gamer culture and the fact that it really started to get machinima going.
Number 5.
A game that firmly entrenched PC gaming as superior in the 90s, Quake was one of the first games that allowed you to go online to beat some ass as opposed to just owning in LAN. How many games can you think of that have actually spurred their own convention that is still going strong today? Why is it still popular? Because it's extremely customizable. So much so that gamers are still making new modded levels and skins. That's crazy. A true trendsetter, some say Quake is John Carmack and John Romero's best game. Others say this is.
Number 4.
One of the originators, Carmack and Romero really took the idea of going through a 3D maze and shooting the hell out of things and turned it into really, really expensive Ferraris. Wolfenstein 3D pretty much said, this is how an FPS should be made. And developers listened. So much so that they made Nazis the enemy in pretty much every FPS game ever. Until our next game.
Number 3.
Whew, talk about a breath of fresh air. The Call of Duty series, while always solid, took a leap into WoW with number 4. With a wicked story and action that really made you feel like you were part of a war, Call of Duty 4 had a great campaign. But it really excelled where all good FPS excel. Multiplayer. The ability to customize your attributes with perks, then take them online and make noobs your bitches never felt so satisfying. Customizable owning. Hell yes. Sure, BioShock won a lot of Game of the Year awards last year. But what game are you still playing? Exactly.
Number 2.
You knew Halo would be on the list, but which one? Well, the one that single-handedly put the Xbox on the map. Great controls, an in-depth story, sticky grenades, and the most powerful pistol in gaming history. And oh yeah, it pretty much invented teabagging. The video game industry learned a lot from Halo, but the one thing gamers learned is that as satisfying as sticking a grenade to somebody's face is, it's even better to be able to stick your virtual space crotch squarely on someone's chin. Alright, before we get to number 1, let's recap. Number 10, Bioshock. Number 9, Doom 3. Number 8, Half-Life 2. Number 7, Duke Nukem. Number 6, Counter-Strike. Number 5, Quake. Number 4, Wolfenstein 3D. Number 3, Call of Duty 4. And number 2, Halo 1.
It's number 1.
Sure, there were other FPS on gaming consoles before GoldenEye, but this was the first one that was done right. A game that was so well done we had to include it in this year's Iron Man of Gaming competition. At the time, it was unlike anything that had ever been seen before, and it was the first real glimpse of what was to come for console gamers 10 years down the road. I can't tell you how many hours, days, were spent in front of the TV with friends in multiplayer. It was straight up fun. A game that would make James Bond proud, it was almost perfectly balanced. With the exception of that little bastard Oddjob. If you play with him, you're a bitch.